Pokot South MP David Pkosing has revived his case at the Supreme Court, linking failed repeat presidential polls in Nyanza Region to sabotage by opposition NASA. The Jubilee MP wants the Supreme Court to view the violence which inhibited last month's elections in at least 25 constituencies as a scheme by NASA to subvert the rule of law.
They wanted to subvert the election, cause chaos. What Kenyans saw on 26, we saw chaos. We saw machetes. We saw a lot of distractions. That was not boycott. That was sabotage. That was a subversion of a constitutional provided activity, which is election. And therefore, it was impossible to be conducted in 25 constituencies. And therefore, that was by itself a mistake. That was a crime. And we need to capture that as a crime and ask Supreme Court to agree with us that that was a crime.
Pkosing aims to address the legitimacy concerns raised by NASA leader Raila Odinga by asking the judges to rule that acts of sabotage cannot be grounds to challenge President Uhuru Kenyatta's re-election. Any petition to be filed challenging President Uhuru Kenyatta's re-election will heavily rely on Article 138 of the Constitution, which requires that presidential election must be conducted in all the 290 constituencies. If Pkosing manages to convince the court that the failed last month's election in Nyanza Region was an act of sabotage, the validity of President Uhuru's victory will not be in question.
When the court agrees with me, that is the end of my petition. That a crime has occurred. And therefore now it's up to the court when somebody brings a petition to say what moral high ground will that person have if actually they are the ones who participated in creating the crime. Like for example, you're killing your father and your mother. Right? And then you go to court and say, court, you know what, now don't jail me because I'm an orphan. And you're the one who killed your father and your mother.
He also wants Raila Odinga punished for violating the rights of many voters who wanted to exercise their democratic right on October 26th, but were prevented from doing so because of fear and threats of violence by Raila's followers.
So if I see today NGOs going to Supreme Court, challenge the election of the president, I will see that's NASA. If I see an individual, they will want to call them 3 voters, I will see NASA. If I see NASA themselves, I will see NASA. Anybody who will challenge the validity of this election, I want Kenyans to read it as NASA.
Kevin Wachira, Channel 1 News.